Hello, this is the video that covers in-class work for week 8 and Comp 2. In this video, I'll just go through the activities that we did in class today, and please shoot me an email if you have any questions. The first thing I wanted to do was revisit in-class writing day 1. So if you remember on the first day of class, I had you put a document in your portfolio called last name ICW day 1. So I'd like you to open that up, take a few minutes to read it over. Here's example in class writing day 1. Look it over and then answer some questions for me. There we go. So in that same doc, just underneath what you wrote back in January, I want you to tell me if you're on your way to meeting the goals you set for yourself in January and why or why not. And then also revisit some things I asked you about in January in terms of your attitude towards writing, whether or not it has changed, and whether or not your definitions of good writing and good argument have changed, especially good argument because that's something that we have discussed thoroughly this semester so far. So go ahead and pause the video. I gave the class about 8 minutes for this part, and just answer those questions in that same doc. The purpose of revisiting our first day in class writing is to help us in May when I asked you guys to write a reflection letter on the whole semester. So this note, your first day, and then today, visiting it halfway through the semester, will help you remember kind of your mindset in January and March when you again are writing in May. Uh, the rhetorical reflections I have you guys write after every final draft will also help you with that because you're going to reflect on each essay you've written as well. And you're going to be able to revise one of your essays at the end of the semester. So that's why I always ask you if you would make any changes to your essay. Because again, in May, you might forget your mindset when you finish up essay 1 or 2. So these are really notes to your future self to help your future self out. So moving on to Unit 3, so there's kind of a couple ingredients to Unit 3. And before class, I had you guys do the reading on how to disagree along with some essays that disagree. So that's one component of our essay. The other the other piece of our essay is how to argue ethically or using ethos and persuasively. So what we did in class was just look at some sections from Easy Writer, and it's basically all of chapter 8, and it really looks at all the ingredients of what a persuasive essay does. So go ahead and take some time to read through that chapter, and please let me know if you have any questions about any of those ingredients. The next thing we did in class was practice being persuasive. So I tried to pick a fun topic and we brainstormed some things that we might know a lot about when it comes to Warrensburg. And I did allow students to choose their own hometown if they don't live in Warrensburg. So my example was best restaurant in Warrensburg. And actually I made that more specific. Best restaurant for a first date in Warrensburg. So we came up with some categories. So feel free to think of one yourself. Let's see, we thought of best residence hall, best place to get coffee, best place to work out, things like that. But choose a topic that you know well enough that you could evaluate, okay? So pick one topic. So for example, best restaurant. And then list all the sides, okay? Think of an audience who would care about this. So if I chose best residence hall, a good audience for that would probably be something like incoming freshmen, right? They would care about that topic. And then list as many sides to this controversy. For that, controversy would be all the residence halls, right, on campus. The next part of that is to choose one side, and this is the main focus of this in-class writing, is learning to be persuasive by listing reasons and evidence, okay? So we took about 10 minutes to do all of this. Make sure you definitely get through part 5. And if you have extra time, I asked students if they did also to list why other sides are wrong. So if I said Hosey is the best residence hall and I gave my reasons why, I might say give reasons why Ellis isn't the best, for example. You can do all of this in Blackboard. The link is here in the in-class materials. If you would type it up in the text submission box. Go ahead and pause the video. And like I said, I gave the class about 10 minutes to do this in-class writing. So again, the idea with this assignment was to practice being persuasive, coming with reasons for our own point of view. So putting that together, the idea of being writing a persuasive argument with the reading from before about how to disagree, that all comes together for our Essay 3 assignment. And when I think of our essay 3 assignment, I think of this meme where, everyone is different and it's something change my mind. Because that's basically what you're doing in this essay is you're making a strong statement and maybe kind of daring someone to challenge you in a way. So let's take a look at that. So I did put a link here in the in-class materials folder. As always, that takes us to the whole, to the whole folder. Um, the steps for essay 3 are almost identical to the steps you guys took for essay 2. So the whole process itself is very similar. Of course, the topic is different, and we actually have spring break in the middle, so that's also a big difference. But let's look at the assignment itself. So the purpose, I've alluded to this already, but this is a chance to finally say something about the controversy you've been studying for essay 2, right? You learned all the sides, so now it's a time for you to pick one. I am very specific about this. Choose an educated audience that does not agree with you. That means they should be hostile. And that's what we call an audience who disagrees. They're hostile to our idea, not necessarily us, okay? So my example here is if I was arguing that Social Security benefits should be suspended for all women over the age of 65, I might choose an audience like Democrats because they would be very hostile to that argument. And I'm deliberate in this because it's more difficult to write for someone who disagrees with us than to say preach to the choir, right? Writing for someone who agrees with us. So we need to think very carefully about what arguments and evidence would be most convincing to them. And will we need to refute ideas commonly held by the group? So those are those two big pieces that we looked at, being persuasive, but also disagreeing well. Okay. We'll think about emotional, ethical appeals, just like the chapter said. We'll look at organization, okay, which is also described in that Easy Writer chapter. You might consider putting your thesis statement in a different place. Usually it's in the intro. That's traditional for writing essays. But if I'm writing for a hostile audience, it might be good to kind of ease into it before I hit them with an argument. So that's some things to think about as you're composing. I am allowing students to use the same research they use for essay 2, the same sources. You can add to that if you feel that you need to do so. You can use the same sources. You cannot use material from essay 2. You can't copy and paste what you already wrote for essay 2. Not only is that self-plagiarism, but it's not appropriate to this assignment. That assignment was explaining and informing. This essay is persuading, so it shouldn't be the same, period. But like I mentioned, the steps are very similar to what we've already gone through. The topic proposal is mostly about just letting me know what side you're going to take, because you should already know what your controversy is. Second draft requirements are the same. Excuse me, we'll do peer reviews the week of March 22nd. That's the week after spring break. So just like last week in week 7, when we wrapped up essay 2, we'll have a week with no classes. We'll do peer reviews Monday, Tuesday. I'll be in tutorials Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Those are also conditional, just like last time. The condition is that if you earned under 75% on essay 2, right, before it was essay 1. So that's the same. The final draft should be 4 to 5 pages, but we're still working on MLA. We're still adding to our checklist. You guys should already have, as of Sunday, through the rhetorical reflection. So we're just adding our essay 3 documents. I'm going to take a look at the schedule because in terms of spring break, it might be a little confusing. So here's today, in-class material. After class this week, you're going to do a section on pathos, then a section on logos, and then a section on ethos. I'm probably saying every single one of those wrong, and I'll talk about it in the videos. But because those are 3 important ingredients of persuasion, I wanted to do some very careful, analyzing, and so that we can make sure we are doing those things effectively. So we'll have a section on those 3. And then at the end of next week, I have 2 things I would like you to do before spring break, which is the 15th through the 21st. Okay, so this is the week before spring break. Before you leave, I'd like you to take the syllabus quiz and a rhetoric quiz. The rhetoric quiz is going to be over the ethos, pathos, and logos readings. Now, this is where it gets different from our normal schedule. So the rest of it is due the 21st, which is at the end of spring break. Okay, so by the end of spring break, I would like a second draft, and I would like you to sign up for a tutorial as needed. So it's up to you. If you want to turn them in on the 14th, that's fine, as long as it's in by the 21st. You know, it's up to you how you want to manage your spring break. But again, that's the 15th through the 21st. And then that first day we come back, the 22nd, we won't have class. Again, we'll be in peer reviews that Monday, Tuesday after spring break. And then I'll be in tutorials the rest of the week before the final draft is due the 28th. So yeah, the schedule is really similar to the first one in that we have 3 weeks to work on it, but really it's 4 if you include spring break, and that's again up to you if you want to use that as a break or as a chance to get caught up on work or whatever. As long as you have your stuff turned in by the deadline, I don't really care when you do it. So that's about it for what we did in class this week. Again, you should have paused the video about 3 times. Once to do the in-class writing for day 1, once to go over the reading from Easy Writer, and once to do the activity on persuading, right? The best of whatever in Warrensburg. If you do have any questions, please shoot me an email, and I hope to see you guys next week.